Hey everyone, welcome back to Her Circle with Chandler and Ashley. We're sitting directly across from each other,
Staring
face
into
to
each other's
face.
eyes.
It's fantastic setup today.
Preston's all, you're just gonna be really staring at each other. I'm like, well, we look at each other
Yeah,
when we
that's
talk,
true.
but it's funny because I don't know if
It's
it's because
just-
it's like we really are.
Yeah, we're very
but
straight on towards each other. Normally we're
in this-
like slightly
yeah,
angled,
and we're not as close.
Yeah,
We had a little bit more like space.
mm-hmm. But this works.
Yeah,
and it's fine. Whatever.
it doesn't matter.
all
We're
good.
fine. We've been closer.
True, very true. So for a while, Chandler and I have been wanting to do like a best advice episode, either the best advice that we've received or from asking other like women around us. And so this week we sent out a bunch of texts, or did you call anyone?
No,
Okay.
I don't call.
Well,
I actually hate talking on the phone.
I don't mind. It just depends on who I'm talking to. But we just sent out a bunch of texts. I sat down and went through my messages and just reached out to all these women that I really, really look up to, who I feel like either have a lot of wisdom to share or have received a lot of good, advice from people in their lives. So bear with me as I read through my notes and my and everything, because when I initially got all the messages and phone calls and different things that people had sent me, I listened and watched and read everything. And then now that I'm sitting here, I'm going to do my best to like condense everything.
Yeah.
And, so here we are.
Here we are.
I feel like I got quite a bit of like responses back.
Yeah.
So we're going to do probably part 1, part 2. And I'm just going to share all the advice that I got. And then we'll do an episode where Chandler just shares all of the good advice that she got as well.
Yeah. And we'll obviously like speak on like them ourselves.
Yeah. And Chandler hasn't seen anything that I've gotten and vice versa. So this is all like new stuff for her. So
do we want to say like who they're from, or does it matter?
I don't know. I was just about to say, like, do we say who it's from, or maybe just like who the person is to us? Like aunt, mom, friend, cousin, sister-in-law. So I pretty much texted all of my aunts.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's not true. Actually, I didn't. Whoops. Anyways.
It's fine.
Okay, so the first one that I really liked, well, I liked all of them. Everyone had, what was the coolest thing is everyone had such different responses, which I thought was so cool.
Yeah, I think most of mine were different. There was some that kind of like the idea of certain things kind of went together, but yeah, they were all different.
Yeah, all different, all really, really, really cool. So I'll start off with this one, and it's a clip from someone named Jay Shetty, and he's on a podcast with Mel Robbins, who she does the Let Them theory. So in this specific clip, he's saying, no one will ever love you the right way. They will always fail you because that's your job to love yourself, and it's God's job to love you as well. It was never somebody else's job in the first place to be the one that has the exact right kind of love. Because that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So it's your job to love yourself, and it's God's job to love you because his love ultimately is perfect.
Oh, yeah, unconditional.
So I really liked that.
Yeah, I do too. I think also too, like as humans, like we're obviously creatures of like sin. Like we're not perfect. So it's like, even not saying I don't want to love somebody like perfectly, but like I can't. Like even if I knew how, like I wouldn't be able to do it. And that's another thing too. I think as people, the way we want to be loved or how we need to be loved changes also. So not that you can't communicate certain things and like, I'm just going to use a spouse just because that's like an easy example because you're with them probably the majority of your time to be able to like communicate those needs. But at the end of the day, like we are going to fail. So that's not where you want to look for your like identity, and it needs to come from God first, because in the root of that comes like to you yourself will love yourself. So I do like that a lot, because it's not someone else's job to give you your worth, to say like yes or no, you can't do this or you're worthy of that. That shouldn't come from anybody else, because at the end of the day they're flawed too, just like you.
And
So
they're like, your life is not tied to somebody else.
Yeah.
You're not going to live as long as your spouse.
Yeah.
God forbid something would ever happen. Then what do you do if you've
Yeah.
always looked to and someone external to
Mhm.
provide you with, like you said, your self-worth or your happiness?
Yeah.
Like, you're always going to set yourself up for a loss.
Yeah.
You have to find that internal happiness. And it's kind of the same, like, if you aren't happy where you live and then you move to a different location because you think things are going to be different because you're somewhere
Yeah.
else, your problems are still going with you
Yeah.
because your problems are
It's
you.
deeper than just
Right.
surface level
Deeper
stuff.
than just location.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool because it's very simple. And it also takes the pressure off of other people
Yeah.
for
And
yourself.
too,
Yeah.
I do think that's hard to do because I think as like a spouse, like obviously, like I want to feel confident in like how Ryan like looks at me or whatever, but
Mhm.
at the end of the day, like you said, it can't be all on him,
Right.
because that's not fair to him, and then you're putting that weight on him that he's automatically already going to fail. So you're giving him the standard that like he can't even meet, and he shouldn't have to.
Mhm.
So, but I do think that sometimes like hard to not be like put that stuff on them to a certain extent, because you do want that feeling from them, because it's like, well, obviously you want that love, but at the end of the day, like you said, your life isn't completely like tied to them. They don't need to be your world, they need to add to it.
Right.
They need to be like obviously a huge part, but they can't be, I mean, I don't think you can.
You're everything.
Yeah. So like, yeah.
Yeah.
That
There
makes
has to be
sense.
some internal love and
Worth
happiness.
and love, yeah.
Yeah.
Has to come from not them all, or only them, I guess. I like that one.
Yeah, I thought that one was really, really good. And that's a clip that's been going around on Instagram lately.
okay.
So, okay. So this one is from a woman who I hold in very high regard, look up to her in so many ways. So she said, "A selfless person is never offended. I always wanted to attain that kind of selflessness. I don't believe it to be the kind that makes you a doormat or someone who folds under any kind of pressure, but rather someone with extraordinary integrity who is willing to look and see others outside of their circumstances and give them the benefit of the doubt or even outright charity. I think it would take a person with an incredible sense of self to reach this goal." So I think that's great because, again, you take the pressure off of yourself essentially, and you're kind of looking at different circumstances instead of questioning like, why are you doing this? What's that? You're looking at it from a curiosity point of view.
Yeah.
So you kind of shift outside of yourself and look in to the situation from a different perspective.
Yeah. That one was like really deep. Like it was like a lot.
Yeah.
Like I'd have to like reread that one again.
Yeah, that was very profound.
Yeah.
And then she said her mom used to say, "I think we are all going to be really surprised at who our neighbors are in heaven. If we have the lofty goal to achieve a mansion in God's neighborhood after this life, we may believe that it can only be achieved in a certain way by certain types of people. But I love the idea that God loves everyone and sees all the good in different ways than we tend to. I don't want to be surprised at my neighbors in heaven. I want to rejoice with all of them that we made it there at all." So I thought that was really sweet because, again, everyone is worthy of God's love. Everyone deserves that kind of love. And I was just reading that, and it made me think of a funny situation when Heston and I were getting married. I won't say like who or anything, but I had somebody come up to me and say, "Was that so-and-so in your," I think it was one of my, like, the endowment ceremony. And I said, "Yeah." And she was like, "This is terrible." But I had the thought of like, how is she in here? Because she knew this person in high school years and years ago.
Yeah.
And she's a completely different person now. And so she just sat back and she was like, wow, God's love can change everyone.
Yeah. That's the whole point.
So I thought that, like, reading that the first time, it reminded me of that situation of like, everyone has the opportunity to grow and change. And that's what God's love is. It's
That's like the whole
the
point.
space to grow into a better person, and also those around you, like kind of forgiving who you were in the past and moving past that small experience that she had with her in high school into her being a mother, a grandmother, and those fulfilling those different roles. So I thought that was kind of funny because the truth is, like, you should want to be surrounded with everyone in heaven because everyone deserves a chance to get there.
Everybody there.
Yeah.
I think that's a cool like idea to think, because like you said, being like, wow, like God's love, like that's, if you believe God is who he says he is, like that's not shocking. Like it shouldn't be shocking that if someone has accepted Christ and like is living that way in his love and letting him change them, like that's not surprising that they've changed and that they're a whole new person. That's like, well, yeah, heck yeah, that's what he does. That's who he is. So it's like at the end of the day, and you shouldn't be surprised or shocked that somebody changed or found him and is living a new life. And I'm like, that's what he does. That's what we want him to do.
Yeah.
Like everybody. So I think that's kind of a cool like way to look at it. Like,
you should be happy.
Yeah, you shouldn't be like, oh, hey. You should be like, heck yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're here.
You made it.
Yeah.
Way to go.
Yeah. Like we did it.
Yeah. I like this one. And I feel like we all grew up kind of learning this one. You don't talk poorly about those you love. And if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. Yeah. Which I feel like I'm finally learning that as an adult.
It's hard. Now, sometimes I feel like it's harder as an adult because I'm around more adults and I'm like, you're an adult.
Yeah.
I don't want to say something nice to you right now. I'm guilty of that. Because you're an adult, so you shouldn't be acting that way or saying that. So
but like, I found there's a lot of power in silence.
Yeah.
As an adult. And then also like not oversharing.
Yeah.
Because I tend to like overshare, and then I'm like, wow, I'm so sorry about that.
I'm an oversharer. I'm like, well, you asked.
No, it's more like you didn't really ask, but I'm going to tell you anyways.
You asked me how I was. So
yeah, that's true. You genuinely asked. So I think that there's like power in staying silent. And then also you have more of an objective point of view when you are quiet and you are actually listening.
Yeah.
And you don't have all of these responses queued up in your head already. Like you're really taking in the whole situation and then kind of moving from there. This one is really funny. She says, a boy mom of 6 once told me that if the boys are being grumpy, feed them. It almost always fixes them, and she wasn't wrong. And this is coming from a mother of 3 boys and one little girl. So yes, if the the kids are hungry, feed the kids. It's like a reset button.
Yeah.
Take them outside, reset the day, feed the children.
Feed them. They're probably just hungry.
Yeah, she said, if I think of something more profound, I will let you know. And I said, that's pretty profound though.
Sometimes those little things are just, you're like, yes, that's
and
true.
I learned that when I would nanny for the Hassels, because they have 6 kids and the parents were out of town, and I had all of those kids, and I think some cousins were over, and it was like, got breakfast done, cleaning up breakfast, starting lunch, cleaning up lunch, starting dinner, to keep them all like on track and happy, because they will get restless.
It's funny.
Let me see.
I always like being fed.
Yes.
Still do.
It's always good.
Yeah.
It's also still a
necessity.
Still a necessity.
Yeah.
And I love this piece of advice, and I definitely apply it to my kids. It says, when your child comes to you wanting to be hugged and loved, never let go first.
Oh.
You hug them until they're done.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
Sometimes they're done a little too early, in my opinion.
You're like, wait, we're not done here.
We're not done here. So I love that. And I think for any parent or anyone that's interacting with a child who wants to hug you as an adult, like, you hug them as long as they want to.
Yeah.
And I recently found out that's also a rule at Disneyland with the characters. The characters are not allowed to let go first. The child has to let go first.
Oh.
Then they'll stop hugging them. So essentially they'll hug.
They can just hug for days.
Yeah, as long as you want. So I think as a parent, that's really special to just and have that mindset of like, just hug them till they're done.
Huh.
So
I do like that.
Yeah, I thought that one was super cute and sweet. Okay, so this one is communication is key in any relationship, but especially in a marriage. You need to communicate everything, the good, the bad, and it's the only way to grow together and become stronger. And it's the best way to make any relationship last. And learning how to communicate with your spouse is a big challenge,
Mm-hmm.
especially like you and I got married to our spouses so young.
Mm-hmm.
So now that I'm like in my early 30s, mid 30s, I feel like within the last couple of years, Heston and I have like unlocked that because you don't
Yeah.
really know how to communicate when you're that young. So it is a challenge, and it's something worth understanding about yourself.
Yeah.
So that you can help your spouse understand how you like to communicate, and then how they can also communicate with you.
Yeah. I think I've always been a big, like, anything, like work, French, like everything. I'm like, you can't get anything accomplished without talking about things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, ask questions, figure it out,
Mm-hmm.
make sure it's right. Like, I'm like, what's the harm in being like, is this what you want? Because then if things don't go right, then you're screwed, or then someone's angry, or then it's messed up, or then you have to backtrack and fix things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, same with like relationships. I'm like, just talk. I probably over communicate.
Yeah, when you were saying that, I'm big on that. I'm thinking you probably over communicate,
because
which
I'm
I don't
so
think it's a bad
like,
thing.
because I think I do, because Ryan, I love him, but he doesn't really. And sometimes I'm just like, brother, like anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like sometimes the over is probably like compensating for wanting to like receive the communication that I'm like, bro,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, I probably overly do, but I'm just like, that way there's nothing, no confusion. You know where I stand, you know what I think. Things can be fixed or worked on or whatever. I'm like, because then what? We're just living in like a state of like, okay, I guess. Like, how do you know things are okay if I don't tell them?
Right.
And I'm just gonna live in like not being okay and not tell you? Like, that would be stupid. So no, yeah, I think communication across the board and anything in life is like super important.
Yeah, I
like,
agree.
You can't accomplish anything without communicating
in all aspects.
Yeah.
But and also with communication, be okay with your spouse or whoever you're talking to not agreeing with you.
Yeah.
And being open to a discussion of, okay, I didn't love that, or, you know, how can we move past this together?
Yeah.
And kind of rethink about things.
Too.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. This one, don't be afraid of hard things.
Yeah, that's hard, but yeah. I mean, what's that phrase where like, just do it afraid? Like, that's fine to do things afraid. I think a lot of good things and a lot of big things usually are scary. Like, they're not easy. A lot of the times I think God gives you those things to really lean in and make him rely on him. And you realize like, oh, I do need you. I can't do this without you, kind of thing. So I do think a lot of things you are doing or should be doing or he wants you to do, you're probably going to be slightly afraid, which is scary. Because nobody just like naturally wants to like, well, I say that some people might, but I don't think most people just naturally want to jump into like a fearful thing. Sure. It's not like, hey, let's do that. Yeah. Some people might get a rush from it, but I personally don't.
Yeah, that's not my thing, but who knows? And I think with that, like, don't be afraid of hard things. I also have always heard get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
You know, because I think we learned that in gymnastics, like the hard skills and the flexibility and the strength don't come from a place of like fun and peace and happiness. It comes from constant failure, some honestly pain, soreness, like a lot of failure there. And it is uncomfortable, whether in a physical and emotional
mental
aspect. Yeah. So I think we learned from an early age, a lot of great things can come from discomfort.
Well, I think a lot of the times in your uncomfortable, that's where you grow. I mean, that's where you like can learn something about yourself. You learn new like limits. You know how you can push yourself. You learn how to push yourself. I mean, it's just like getting stronger, like actually like your body getting stronger. You have to push reps or push weight. If you're not gonna get stronger.
Right, you're not gonna grow.
And that's hard. It's uncomfortable. You're usually sore, but the more you do it, it's just like anything else. It'll become easier. But
Yeah.
I'm like, nothing, you have to push. That's where growth comes from, I
You have
think.
to
So
step outside of that comfort zone. I really liked this one for just in general. She's discussing mental health, and she's a mom with kids and grandkids, and she was kind of raised in the time of like, get up, you're fine, don't worry about it, don't
Throw
think
some
about
dirt
it,
on
just
it.
push through.
Yeah.
Like push through, push
Yeah.
through. And also in a way of like, it's not safe to be emotional, it's not safe to have a hard day, you just have to keep going, you just have to keep going. So she was sharing with me that she went and listened to a talk at a church. It was like a youth talk or something, but she talked about mental health. Someone struggling with mental health, like depression or anxiety, it's like having an actual broken bone. If you saw somebody with a broken arm, you wouldn't tell them, like, brush it off, you're fine, nothing's really wrong, it's all in your head. You would never say that to someone with an arm that's clearly broken. So she says that this person says mental illness is like a broken bone. You just can't see it. So you need to treat it. You need to acknowledge it. You need to heal it. And you need to recognize that it is real and it really is there. The same way you can fracture a physical part of your body, you can have fractures in your mind. I thought that was pretty great.
It gives you like a different like outlook on that kind of stuff. Cause I think, like you said, if you can't see it, it's kind of like, well, it's not real. I think a lot of people do that with a lot of things. If it's not there, if you can't see it, it's like, well, you're just making it up. So I think that's like a different view on it of like, you're right. It is just like anything else. It needs to be helped or nurtured or fixed or worked on or whatever it is.
And even just acknowledge, like, you had a bad day. Let's figure out what to do with that. How can we move forward, or how can I help you next time? Because as a parent, like, we all want to raise mentally strong kids who are resilient. But even the most resilient kids have those off days. So it's about teaching and learning about how to deal with those fractures, so to speak, mentally. And then this one says, just because you don't agree with somebody's lifestyle or their choices doesn't mean you can't love them and hope that they're happy. And someone's version of a happy life can and will most likely look different than yours. So don't judge or compare your life to somebody else, and just be happy for someone who's happy. And then this one, I really liked both of these ones now that I'm rereading them. So there's a difference between raising nice kids and kind kids. You want a kind kid who is like not as kind, but also has boundaries. Nice kids can be people pleasers, and they will always make sure that somebody else's comfort comes before them. And kind is being a decent human who doesn't judge or go out of their way to hurt others, but who will always stand up for themselves. So be kind, but also teach your children not to be a people pleaser to some extent. But being nice and not getting walked all over. So I really liked that. So it's just kind of teaching your kids, or just in general to anyone. And especially if you don't like somebody, you don't have to be mean to them. You don't have a right to just go out of your way to be a mean person. But you can be kind and cordial, but you can also hold your boundaries and stay where you want to stay. And if that's not in the same room with somebody, that's fine.
That's good. I think that's hard to teach though too.
It is hard.
I mean, I don't personally know, but like for a kid, I feel like that's hard.
Yeah.
Why parenting's the hardest thing, man.
I don't know what I'm doing. So far, so good. And then this, don't put like adult responsibilities on your children. And that's something that I have a hard time with.
Putting like the responsibility on them.
Not even that. Like, I've had to make sure that I'm not, now that my kids are older, like, not talking about other people that I don't enjoy in a bad way. Does that make sense? So I've just kind of not had to brush things off, but just had to say, like, we don't like what they're doing. But not go into detail of like why I don't like that person.
Like limit the what you think, or kind of just,
and put my perspective on them.
Yeah. Keep it their age.
Yeah, appropriate. So this one I like is, as a parent, your job is to give your kid choices because life is all about choices and free agency. So I'm going to roll two pieces of advice into one because this is one of the pieces of advice that I got from my grandma. And she said, don't give your kids a choice that's not a choice.
Yeah.
And so when she said that to me, I didn't fully understand what she meant.
Yeah.
And she said, this is what I mean. If it's cold outside, your child has to wear a jacket.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't say to your child, hey, do you want to wear a jacket?
Yeah.
Because they might say no.
Yeah.
And then you're going to go, well, it's cold outside, so you need to wear a jacket.
Yeah.
So essentially, I'm giving you a choice. Now you've given me your answer, and I'm not going to listen to you anyways.
Yeah.
So she said, you need to phrase it in a way of, it's cold outside, you need to wear a jacket. Do you want to wear this jacket or this jacket?
Yeah.
So the choice is that they can choose a jacket. They have to wear a jacket.
Yeah.
So which jacket do you want to wear?
Yeah.
And so this woman just says, like, it's all about choices for your kids and help and guiding them to the right choice, but then also allowing them to have natural consequences to those choices. Because it can be overwhelming as a mother, especially with a child who I don't ever like to say like a hard kid, because no kids are hard.
Yeah.
They're just more challenging.
Yeah.
And you want those kids to grow up to be asking questions, to be challenging authority, not just blindly following along. So they can be a little bit more, I guess challenging is the right word. So you just want to allow them the space to have the choices to fail and have natural consequences.
Yeah.
And with little Heston, when he went to public school, he would ride his bike, or he had like an electronic bike. So he's responsible for charging it. He didn't charge it, and it was super, super hot outside. And he has a watch he had a watch because he was going to and from school, not very far, but he needs to be able to call me if he wipes out or something. So he calls me and he's really upset. Like, my bike died, come get me. I said, no, you know when the battery's dying and you should have charged it last night. And he was really, really upset. And you want to know how many other times that happened?
None.
0. He was dripping wet, red face, because he has to wear a helmet. That's non-negotiable. Soaking wet. It's hot. It was probably like September. It's still in the 100 degrees, coming home at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That was a natural consequence that he had to experience. Yeah. His responsibility is charging his bike. He didn't charge his bike. Yeah. I wasn't going to go save him. Yeah. He was safe. He had water. He was in my neighborhood. I knew he could do it. Yeah. But I didn't rescue him. Yeah. Because if I had done that, how many more times was he going to let his bike charge?
She'll just come get me.
There's no limit in his mind. Yeah. Now it's like, okay, my mom's not going to come get me no matter what. So I'm going to charge my dang bike.
Yeah, I'm not doing that again.
Natural consequence of his choices of not plugging his bike in. Yeah. So I like that one.
Yeah, I won't be doing that again.
And then this one, we've talked about it before, is the let them theory. So this woman, she said, let me just look at it. She's reading her book right now, but I thought the fastest way to tell you was to look at the podcast, which I've listened to before. And she has her own struggles with her adult children. And I think as a parent with young kids, all of your kids are in your house, and you have you understand their choices. You can guide them towards the right one. When you're a parent of adult children and they're married and you're dealing with in-laws and a lot of different dynamics coming into your family can be really challenging. Yeah. So she's said that she's found comfort in the let them theory. So just a quick overview of the let them theory, if anyone hasn't heard of it. It encourages individuals to release the need to control others' actions and instead focus on their own responses. By allowing others to be as they are without interference or judgment, you reclaim your emotional energy and foster healthier relationships. Mel Robbins emphasizes that this mindset shift leads to greater emotional peace and personal empowerment. So essentially, how someone is acting, you just have to let them do that, because the only control you have is over your responses to that person.
Yeah. I had My mom told me that one of her friends told her that, like, something like essentially that, like, how you can't control like someone else's like thoughts or feelings or response to you. So it's like you can't get upset or try to do something to kind of like tiptoe around the
Mhm.
response they're going to give. She's like, you have no control over that. That's not on you. That's not your fault, kind of thing. And so, I mean, it's true. And that should, I think sometimes it's hard, but it should take some relief off because at the end of the day,
Mhm.
you're not going to please everyone.
Right.
So you can't live being like worried or all that kind of stuff about what I'm not
Mhm.
saying just, be inconsiderate to a certain extent, but at the end of the day, yeah, you can't control.
Yeah.
You can't control people.
You can't. You
Yeah.
can just control
Yeah.
your responses, and
Response, yeah.
there is a lot of power in letting go.
Yeah.
There is a lot of power in just saying I can't help you.
Yeah.
So all I
Bow
can
out.
do is control what I want to do around
Yeah.
this person, and sometimes that looks like not being around them at all.
Yeah.
And so, and certain family situations, like that's a really sucky situation. Heston and I are in that situation right now, and it's hard.
Yeah.
We miss out on a lot of things,
Yeah.
and my kids miss out on a lot of things. But I also look back and go, had I not pulled away when I did, how much worse would things be now?
Yeah.
How much more nonsense would we have gone through? Would I have been put through
Yeah.
personally? What my kids would have experienced? So I just look back and go, like, I'm so thankful 3 years ago or however long ago that I just decided to go, like, essentially I'm gonna let them
Yeah.
do whatever they're gonna do, but I don't have to participate anymore. And it does come with a price, and
Yeah.
it's a high price, and we've been dealing with it. But how
Yeah.
much worse could it have been now?
Yeah.
3 years later, still dealing with the abuse and just
'Cause
the
it wouldn't
nastiness.
have probably fixed anything, like you said. So it's like, and then you have that, you're carrying that, and that carries into so much other parts of your life
Mhm.
too.
Mhm.
So like, no matter what the situation is, when you're trying to like control and manipulate all these other situations that you can't even anyway, you're
Mhm.
carrying all that or that disappointment because it didn't go the way I mean, I'm naturally a control person, so that is hard. But
Mhm.
when it comes to like other people, I'm usually pretty good about being like, I can't help how
Mhm.
you feel. I can only do what I can do.
Yeah, that's very
I'm like,
true.
and sometimes I can't even do that.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm barely there.
Yeah. So I'm like, I don't need to worry about you either.
Yeah. This one comes from another woman. All of these women that I'm getting responses from are just top tier
Yeah.
women.
Top tier.
I fully believe if we had any of them sitting here, it would
Yeah.
be such an enriching, like, valuable episode. So we're just taking snippets from
Them.
everyone. She says this is advice that her mom has given her growing up, and especially as you get older, I think it really I think that she's used this almost daily in her life. She says to always put first every day the thing that you value the most, and then everything else will fall into place. So I really like that because you just have to choose every single day what is your most high value
Mm-hmm.
thing in your life, family, Heavenly Father, Christ. As long as that's first in your day, everything else will just fall into place the way it's supposed to because of your intention.
And where you're placing, I mean, your worries and your thoughts and your everything. Cause it's like, if things go bad and the day gets shaken, like, where are you standing, So I think just being like rooted in those core values. I mean, you want to be able to know that anything can happen, not that you want these bad things to happen, but at the end of the day, where you're standing that firm, you're deeply rooted in that you'll be good. Whether it's hard or not, you'll be good. You won't just be able to like crumble.
Yeah, you'll be able to handle it, essentially. All the potentially big challenges you have coming your way.
Yeah.
This one is from an amazing friend this person has been so fun watching her be a mom.
Mm-hmm.
She has just navigated some pretty intense challenges in her life so beautifully. And I admire her so much. And so she just came back with listen to your gut,
Mm-hmm.
which I think as women, our initial gut reactions sometimes or most of the time are like
Dead
spot
on,
on.
yeah.
They're dead on. So listen to your gut. Also, don't be reactive to
Yeah.
something, dangerous situations aside,
Yeah.
but listen to your gut reaction because it's usually spot on. And then you were given a mother's intuition for a reason. Use it.
Mm-hmm.
So as a mom, you can definitely tell when something's going on with your child or if something's feeling a little bit off, and you have to listen to it, especially, in situations with other friends, other kids, even doctor situations where if you just aren't loving what they're saying to you and it's not sitting right with you, as a mom, you know your kid more than anyone else.
Yeah.
So you need to listen to what your body and your mind is telling you about your child and go with it. You will never be wrong.
Yeah.
If you listen to your mother's intuition. We have it for a reason.
Yeah.
This is from my sister-in-law. She said, I'll have to think about this advice. I'm always forgetting it. And I said, same. And also, I usually don't listen anyways. She said, me too.
What do you know?
Right. And I said, maybe that's the advice. Don't listen to the advice.
So just go with it.
Just go with it. So I would say sometimes you don't have to listen if you don't want to. If it doesn't feel right, let people say what they want to say and move on.
Move on, yeah.
Yeah.
And not every advice is going to be for everyone. I mean, a lot of obviously my life, kid advice, it's well, that's not going to do me any. I can respect and understand and appreciate that stuff because I'm not dumb. But at the end of the day, it's well, that's not me. I mean, I know, 3 boys, feed your kids. Mother intuition, believe it's a thing. I think God gave it to us for a reason. We're the ones who are able to create and birth and raise those babies for a reason. So I definitely stuff like that. But there's also some that you're just that's not.
I'm
not
all
it.
set.
That's
Thank
not
you.
it. Thanks, so. Have a good day.
That's not it.
I bid you adieu.
This one comes from another woman high up on there. Known her since I was probably 7 years old. She says, leave a place better than you found it. And then she goes into an explanation of the word place doesn't always mean a physical area. Leave a person better than you found them. Of course, leave areas better than you found them. Leave, and she says she consciously chooses to help people feel better about themselves and make their day better. And she says a little thing can go a long way, smiling at a little kid, because you don't know what that little kid is going through.
Yeah.
You have no idea what anyone's going through, and that can make a huge difference.
Yeah.
And I personally have heard this woman compliment just a random person. You look really pretty today.
Yeah.
And you can see that person is just taken up. Because I feel like this woman has a gift of seeing a need in anyone and really stepping in and fulfilling that need, whether it's a smile or a kind word or a hug or a laugh. And she even says, I always try to make people know I'm so excited to see them.
Yeah.
And anytime I get to see her, I'm yes, because I am so happy.
And she is.
Yeah. Right, exactly. She's totally she's excited to see you too. And she said, and this is an important thing that she said. Let me find it so I don't butcher it. Or with family, and with anyone, because she does it with me too. I always try to let them see how truly happy I am to see them for who they are, not what I want or think they should be. I think that's huge.
Yeah.
We are in a world where we are constantly being told to be a certain way, look a certain way, act a certain way. And so I think just allowing kids to be who they are and appreciating them for who they are. And then that also reminds me of my grandma Judy. I remember being like a teenager and listening to her have a conversation with a cousin of mine about what I thought the weirdest thing to be into.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what it was, but Grandma Judy was in it, asking questions, getting like so excited for my cousin to have had this experience. And I remember sitting there going like, why is my grandma so excited about this? That's a weird thing to do. In my teenage mind, looking back now, how fun.
Yeah.
But in my teenage mind, and I just listened to my grandma like lock in on this cousin, ask all these questions about her experience, where she went, all these things. She was so excited, and so she just wanted to hear all of that. So I think as a parent, I've watched my grandma, whatever we were into growing up, it was her favorite thing.
Yeah.
No matter if she had no idea what it was, it was her new favorite thing. So I think as like a mother figure or a mom or a grandma, that's an easy thing you can do with your kids or your grandkids. Like whatever they're into, you got to ask them the questions. You've got to connect with them. And right now with little Heston, it's all about Fortnite. Sometimes at the end of the day, if I hear one more thing about Fortnite, I'm going to lose it.
Yeah.
But if I'm not connecting with him now over the things that he enjoys, what is he going to share with me when he's a teenager? Yeah. Because if I'm telling him now, I have zero interest in Fortnite, in 2-3 years, in his mind, he's learned my mom doesn't care about what I'm into.
Yeah.
I've played Fortnite with him.
Yeah.
We got second place.
Yeah. There you go.
Which is shocking. But
first, you're last.
So last place apparently. But I just think what I got from her is meet people where they're at.
Yeah.
Enjoy them for who they are.
Yeah.
Don't change them. Be happy for them. And she shared a quote. She shot it on her phone for me. It says, "Never let a problem to be solved become more important than a person to be loved." So people are not problems to be solved.
Yeah.
They're humans who want to be loved and deserve your love.
Usually that love will end up solving probably the problem.
That's true.
I do like how she said leave whatever, anything. Yeah. And I like that in this, thinking about that and the extent of like literally anything, like whether it's like a home, you're renting it, or you're on vacation and you're in a hotel, or your friendships. 'Cause to me, all that stuff is like, it's a privilege to like have those things, to be able to be blessed with the car or the job, the office desk you're at, or the friendships that you have, or the marriage you're in. Like all those things are privileges. Those are blessings that you have been given. And I think you should be, like you said, like leaving them better. You should be helping them grow and nurture them. So I think that's a really cool thing. I never really like heard that, but I mean, obviously, like in my head, I always thought about it as like your stuff. Like if I'm like, renting a home, like in apartments, and we always like had to clean it, or your desk space that I might share with somebody else. I'm not going to leave all my crap out for them to clean up or whatever it is. But thinking about it as like people in relationships, I think all those things are privileges too that you've been blessed with, that you shouldn't be tearing them down.
Yeah. And I had never had that perspective of leave a person better than when you found them. This one I really like. Your husband is not a mind reader. Yeah. You need to tell them.
Shouldn't they be though?
You would think so. But they're just.
I'm like, don't you know me?
I know. But they're just such. And I know Ryan's like Heston. Yeah. Like they just want you to be happy.
Yeah.
So I found with Heston and I, like, he'll say, "What's your expectation for this day?" And I'll say exactly how I want my day to go.
Yeah.
And he does so well supporting that like vision for me.
Yeah.
But it took years of like upset after upset for me. And it would just like, for example, Mother's Day, like my first Mother's Day as a mom, like my mom got breakfast in bed. She took a nap. Like she got presents, all this stuff. So like my first Mother's Day, Heston gave me all of my presents before Mother's Day because he was too excited and couldn't wait. Then Mother's Day morning, I had nothing. He did nothing for me. He's 22. Like, he's a young guy. He doesn't know what he's doing. You know, I don't even know what I'm doing. Yeah. And then I was like, I remember being in the bath, like in our kitchen doing dishes, like, this is terrible. This is not how I was not expecting how my Mother's Day was going to go. And so from that point on, I was like, I don't want to change a diaper. Like, you know, you just and so I've gotten better at saying, like, and communicating exactly what I want to do and what I'm expecting from him. Yeah. So she gives this example of, if you want your husband to stop at Dairy Queen on the way home, you can't say, hey, there's a Dairy Queen. You have to say, hey, there's a Dairy Queen. I want it. Please stop. Please. Because they're going to go, oh, okay, yeah, for sure. No big deal. And then your life is a blip on the radar of forever. Love hard and forgive easy. So I like that because she's right. Our life compared to all the lives. It's just a blip. Yeah. Enjoy. Yeah. Forgive. Move on. But also I will say, with forgiveness, that doesn't mean you have to put yourself in the same situations. Yeah. You can forgive and move on and never talk to someone again. Yeah. And I think that's perfectly fine.
Forgiveness means that you have to let them back into your life.
Yeah. Forgive easy. Just you don't have to let yourself open to those same situations. And God put you in the places you need to be because of who you are. Don't change who you are to be like somebody else. I really like that one because we all serve a purpose, and we can't serve the purpose that we are destined to serve if I'm trying to be like somebody else or wanting all of these other things other than focusing on my main purpose in life, which I don't really know what that is. Just kidding.
I mean,
I feel like it's always changing.
Right there with you.
Yeah. And then this one is, we talked about this the other day with gratitude, is that comparison is truly the thief of joy. Yeah. And I find that to be very, very true.
Get lost in that cycle, I think, and you easily start doing that, like, oh, me, like, why, you know, instead of like really realizing like, oh, but this. Yeah. It kind of sucks you in. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so these ones are, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no.
I like that.
I like that. If you're not excited about it.
That's like, what do they say? If you don't love it, you're not going to wear it. Like, if you go to the dressing room, you try something on, if you're not in love with it, don't buy it. You're not going to wear it.
Yes. You're not behind. You're just on your own timeline.
Yeah. It's a good one.
Mm-hmm. You can do hard things without doing them alone.
Yeah. That's hard sometimes to like ask for help.
Yeah. And to like lean on someone and to be that vulnerable. Yeah. You don't have to be perfect to be impactful. Yeah. I really liked that one.
I like that one too, because I think I had this feeling the other day with, like, I was telling you earlier, I was getting my some more added on my tattoo on my sleeve. And my tattoo guy was kind of talking to me just about like just Christianity, religion in general, and I'm obviously a Christian. He's like, I'm not really religious, but we were like talking about some things, and in my head I always tell myself, like, I always doubt that, like, I don't know enough, or I'm not like good enough, and I'm not good enough with my words to like say what I want to say. So sometimes then I just like don't say anything, and I hate that because obviously that's a stupid little, you know, being a liar. So I think that's a good thing to, like, a reminder of, like, it doesn't have to be perfect. Sometimes just like planting a little seed or saying something to get the ball rolling or get them thinking, or, you know, being encouraging. Like, it doesn't have to be the perfect thing. Sometimes maybe someone just needs that like support, whatever it is. So I think that's nice. And that's a big relief too, because it's like, nobody's perfect. So that's just ridiculous. But to take that pressure off of, like, I'm just showing up is even enough. Like, if you come to me and it's not like the perfect words, but I just need just knowing that, like, I have you, that could be helpful in itself, to be like, I don't need you to be like perfect showing up, but like you showed up. Like, or maybe you're late, but hey, you showed up. You know, it's like, I like that a lot. Yeah. So I think sometimes that you talk yourself out of doing something because you think like, oh, well, I'm just not ready yet, or
Yeah,
I'm
or
not
I'm not
smart
the right
enough, or I
person
don't.
for
Yeah, like,
this.
who am I to?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I definitely deal with that a lot, especially in my like faith, because I feel like I'm like, there's just so much more I should know, or I'm not good with my words, or I don't know enough, and yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I like that one.
I really like this piece of advice, and I've heard it before, so I'm glad that she reminded me of it. Don't take advice from someone who isn't where you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
I find that the people who have been the least successful in, for example, business are the loudest people
Mm-hmm.
about other people's maybe failures or
Yeah.
shortcomings or even successes sometimes. And it really does come from a place of doubt and fear
Mm-hmm.
and jealousy. But I have found lately, like, the loudest people about other people are the most insecure
Yeah.
about where they're at, especially in business. And I think Heston's like kind of rotated himself a little bit, so he's been around a lot more like men who have been way successful entrepreneurs, businessmen, growing businesses and different things. And he's kind of moved away from the other people in his life who have talked negatively about those who take risks, because some risks pay off and some don't.
Yeah. That's kind of
Either
part of
way,
it,
like I don't really ever see a failure as a failure. I just
Yeah.
look at it as a way of not to do something
Yeah.
again. And I don't think a lot of people have that mindset, because I've always grown up around men and women who are extremely successful individuals,
Mhm.
business owners on their own. Heston has to some extent. It's just been a little bit different for him, I think. So I think he's finally he's been around more people who have that mindset, which has been really cool for him.
Yeah.
There's not so much like negativity and doubt surrounding his thoughts anymore.
Yeah.
And that's been really powerful.
Yeah.
Like what do they say? The 5 people you're around are who you're going to become
Yeah.
eventually.
Yeah.
So
Like
do you want to be
who's in your circle?
Yeah, it's so important.
Yeah.
Or if you're around 4 smokers, you're going to be the 5th. It's
Yeah.
the same idea, just
Yeah.
in a positive way.
That's like I heard. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they're influencers, and they were talking about like people like, they think that they can give you their opinion on how to do everything, parent, all
Mhm.
this stuff. And they were saying that someone told them, they're like, if you're not in each other's like contacts, they don't matter. Like if
Mhm.
you literally don't know them and don't talk to them, like what do they even know? And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's so true, because like you have people who would just like chime in, and it's like
Mhm.
you don't even know. Granted, I know most of us don't live on the life of like influencers to where you have people like coming at you.
Sure.
But like if you're not like talking to them daily, not daily, but like enough to like their opinion doesn't matter.
Mhm.
Like, and probably if they're tearing you down, their opinion probably doesn't matter.
Mhm.
Like, not saying that they have to agree with everything you're doing, but if they're not like, there's a difference between like tearing someone down and like, oh my God,
Constructive
thank you,
criticism.
constructive. I'm like, yep, that word. I've been up,
I
so
gotcha.
I'm tired. Then it's like, their opinion doesn't matter anyway if that's what they're doing. If they're not coming with you, even if it's to be like, hey, like maybe not, let's not do this, and giving you like reasons why, or like with the right like reasons and heart behind what they're doing,
Mhm.
and it doesn't matter.
Yeah. When you were saying that, it reminded me when Heston and I were starting school.
Mm-hmm.
We were at dinner with like some adults that none of them had ever gone to school and
Mhm.
like graduated. They had taken classes here and there, and they were all like far along in their career,
Yeah.
multiple kids. They weren't ever going to go to school,
Yeah.
which is fine.
Yeah.
Plenty of successful people never graduate from college. When Heston and I were getting engaged, and my dad asked if he could marry me,
Mhm.
if Heston could marry me, Heston asked my dad if he could marry me. Jeez. My dad said to Heston, you have to promise me a few things, and one of them was you need to have a college degree. Like,
Yeah.
I expect you to have be
Yeah.
a college graduate. And so Heston kept his promise and
Yeah.
graduated from college. When we were in the process of applying to school and moving away, we were at dinner with these adults who none of them had ever gone to school
Yeah.
or graduated or anything. And one of the women was like, I just don't know how we're going to get through with being like debt free. That's going to be challenging, because I
Mhm.
had already had a baby at the time. And then Heston's going to be in school full time. And there was just a lot of different things we were trying to consider. And she was so like, you can do it.
Yeah.
You can figure it out. Like, and telling me what I needed to do to get through school, and telling Heston what he needed to do to get through school. And I just remember being like, yeah, I don't think that's possible.
Yeah.
And she was like, you could do it if you try, if you really want to. And I was like, okay. And then later I leave and I'm like, I don't think your husband has set foot in any higher education.
Yeah.
Or has done anything like
Yeah.
that to where you have to, you're going to take a hit on your income for a better, toward the end for something better. So that's just like, don't take advice from people who aren't where you want to be or have gone through what you're going to go through. Yeah. But she was so confident that Heston and I could make it through school without any debt. And I just, and I was so young, and she had 4 kids. And so I really did look up to this woman. And I was like, oh yeah, maybe we can figure it out. And then as I'm have more of a grown up brain, like dissecting that interaction, like, you had no idea what you're talking about because your husband's had the same job your entire marriage. No, nothing wrong with that. But like, you never took a chance to to pursue what Heston and I have done. So thought that was interesting. And then this piece of advice is to put God above all else, and everything else will work out. Yeah. Which that's kind of similar to like, put what you love first and everything will just kind of fall into place.
He has it all figured out anyway.
Yeah, he does. You just gotta
what do we know?
Buckle up. That's it.
That's like, that reminded me of that little video I posted of, her name's Lindsay Grucky. Like, she's an influencer.
Oh, the cute one.
I love her.
The like, find your or get your pink back.
Yeah, I love her. She did that when she was like, a whole skit of her saying she's gonna hand over the wheel to God. She goes, for real this time. And then she's like, where are we going?
Yeah, I thought that was really cute.
I'm like, this is so like, so true.
I really like her. She's solid. This is from my mom, from my grandpa, from Papa Jim. He said, if you're going to do it, or let me read this really quick. He said, if you say you're going to do it, you better follow through. Yeah. In referencing to your kids. So don't make empty threats to your children. Yeah. Because that just shows them you don't actually mean anything. Yeah. And, follow through. Yeah. If you say you're going to sit in timeout, send them to timeout. Yeah. If you say they're going to be grounded, say they're going to, like, they're grounded. Yeah. Don't let them get away with it. Yeah. But also, as a parent, don't say something unless you're willing to do it. Yeah. Because there were times with Heston, big Heston, he would say, as he's going to be at work all day, if you don't do this, you don't get any like TV tomorrow or no screen time tomorrow. And I'm like, excuse me?
Like, I'm the one with him all day.
You're not going to be here. So that's not actually going to happen. Yeah. And so it was like me looking at him like, don't like that. Yeah. So it was a learning curve of like scaling it down to a realistic like consequence. Yeah.
So it's like not completely like punishing you also.
Right. Because sometimes punishment, like, because sometimes my kids are grounded from our neighbors. Mm-hmm. That is torture for me. Yeah.
You're like, they don't get to go like.
I would rather them be out playing and having fun and busy and like getting entertained. But so it's tough. So follow through with what you're going to do. You don't have to be good. You just have to be good at it.
That one I'm not taking. We said earlier we don't have to take it. Because you're not going to be good at everything.
You're not going to be good at everything.
So if you be good at it. Well, I'm not going to be good at it, maybe.
I'm going to edit that one out.
I feel like maybe it should be the other way. You don't have to be good at it, just be good.
No, because that's like lazy. Yeah. I'll edit that one out.
You don't have to. It might be funny.
I felt dumb. As I read it so confidently.
Well, give me something more than what I'm thinking, but I'm thinking of like, don't be good.
You don't have to be good,
but be good at it.
That means you have to be good at it.
I might not be good at it. Don't be good. You don't have to be good, but you have to be good at it. Like maybe you don't have to be good at what you're doing, but be good at doing it. Like good at trying to do it.
You don't
Maybe.
have to be good. You just have to be good at it.
Like maybe it's saying like you like if I'm just gonna use like the dumbest like example. Like I don't have to be good at basketball, but I have to be good at like trying it. Like if I'm gonna do it, like put your
Mhm.
effort into trying it. Like whether you're the
Okay,
best
it's like
or
don't
not.
half-ass it.
Yeah, like if
Okay.
I'm gonna say I want to do this, like as a kid, like I want to do gymnastics, it's like okay, well then do it if you really want to do it. Don't just go in and be like, "Meh, but it,"
Mhm.
like if you're gonna, you don't have to be good. You don't have to be good at it, but go in and give it your all.
I don't know.
I mean, I feel like I'm bringing this back, baby. Okay, that's what it is.
Let it come back.
Yeah, we're bringing it back.
Yeah, we'll see.
Because like if a kid tells me they want to do like if I had a kid and they're like, hey, I want to do soccer and they're not great at it, that's fine. I don't care if you're good at it, but I want you to go in and be good at doing it, trying. You
Good
know?
at trying.
Yeah, put your effort
Okay,
in.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'm not gonna pay for this if you're not gonna be good at it.
Yeah, you better be having a college
Yeah.
scholarship on this, is what I'll say.
That's where I'm gonna take from that.
Yeah. Okay. We'll see if that stays in.
Oh.
Okay, and then this is
real
my
and unraw.
what real and unraw.
Or
Real and
raw? Unraw.
raw.
Raw. It'd be raw. Real and raw.
Real and raw. Definitely was
Okay.
a real
Wow.
right then. Okay, so this is from a good friend. She said that she was sorry. You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
So she at the time she's still young, but this was like young mom, young kids,
Mhm.
and she felt like her oldest child just wasn't happy, and so she
Yeah.
went to a counselor and was discussing like my child has everything she could ever want,
Yeah.
all of the things she gets to do whatever she wants. She has
Yeah.
all of this like material items,
Yeah.
and she's not happy. She's always kind of moping around,
Yeah.
you know. And so she asked the counselor like, how do I make her happy?
Yeah.
And so she kind of rephrased it to like, well, is that really what you think she needs?
Yeah.
And so she just kind of talked about, yeah, your kids can have all of the material possessions, but if they don't have you as a parent, if you're not connecting with them, having open dialogue with them, they won't be happy
Mhm.
because the stuff doesn't replace
Yeah.
your role as a parent connecting to your child.
Mm-hmm.
And she just kind of talked about like how she had to learn to connect with her child in her world
Mm-hmm.
and in her space and kind of doing what the child wants to do. Because
Yeah.
sometimes it is hard to like, it feels like a long time when you're
Yeah.
playing with your kids and you're like, I have so much I need to do. And you're kind
Yeah.
of running through a queue in your head, but connecting with your child in their world, like getting
Yeah.
down on their level, playing a game with them, reading books with them. Your 5-year-old child's not going to connect with you if you're going to like go do like an adult activity.
Yeah.
Or I take Liv to the nail salon now, but she's older and she enjoys it.
Yeah.
But 2-year-old Liv wouldn't care
Yeah.
about going to the nail salon. That's an activity for me.
Yeah.
It's not for her. So you have to like think about what you can do as a child to connect in their world.
Yeah.
Play the games with them that they want to play.
Yeah.
And so I liked that because she just was saying like, I really struggled with her older 2 kids because they had all the material needs, but they didn't have connection. She didn't hold space for their emotions. It was more of like, you're fine, you're fine, you're fine. Like,
Mhm.
move on, instead of really listening to them, understanding why they were frustrated, why they were feeling unhappy. So as a parent, and I think in any relationship, connect with the person that you want to connect with. Connect on their level with
Mhm.
their likes, what they're interested in, because
Yeah.
it's not going to be what you're interested in.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times with Big Heston, he's telling me this like computer techie stuff, and
You're
he's
just
like jazzed about
Yeah.
it, and I have no idea what he's saying.
Yeah.
But I listen to him, and I'm excited for him
Yeah.
because he's
I'm
excited about
You're
it.
excited. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think just connecting with your kids or anyone in their world, being present in
Mhm.
any situation as much as you possibly can.
Yeah.
I think that that's a great piece of advice
Yeah.
to take from this conversation.
So I don't know if this is really putting you on the spot, but like you personally,
Mhm.
what's one of your best pieces of advice?
That I've received.
Yeah. Or that you've kind of like carried or maybe like,
So 3 things are coming to mind, and it's all about like being a parent.
Mhm.
one of them was what I talked about with my grandma, the choices. Like, give your child a choice that's an actual choice. So you have to wear a jacket. Which jacket do you want to wear? This jacket or this jacket? Not you. Do you want to wear a jacket? No. Well, it's cold outside. You have to wear a jacket. So give your child a choice that's an actual choice. So that's number one. The second one is your child comes to live with you. You're not going to live with them. So as a parent, you have to be in that role of a leader, being a leader, being responsible, being the person that can handle the meltdowns and being the strong person and staying like having as much inner peace as you can when you're dealing with, you know, certain undesirable behaviors in your kids. And then the other one is don't let your kids do anything that would make somebody else not like them. So a lot of times as parents, you think what your kid is doing is so cute and so funny, but to other people, it's not cute. It's weird and disrespectful, you know, so to speak. So I've always I feel like my kids are enjoyable to be around. Their kids, of course, they have annoying behaviors like chewing gum in Chandler's face. Unknowing to me
Someone
at the time.
on the plane today asked me if I wanted a piece of gum, and I was like, I don't, thanks.
I'm all set. Like, thank you. And you don't want a piece of gum either.
Yeah, you should not put that in your mouth.
So those were my 3 pieces of advice that I was thinking about when I was kind of going through.
Yeah.
So that's what I have so far.
Those are good.
Yeah. And I'm sure, and honestly, everything that I read through has been.
Yeah, I liked getting all mine. I was like, oh yeah.
I know.
Oh yeah. Like it was cool. It was fun to hear and see different people's thoughts and points of views, and then really taking them in. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a good one.
Little pieces of wisdom here and there.
Don't hurt nobody.
Yeah. So we'll leave you with part 1.
Yep. And we'll
this week and
back at it with part 2.
Part 2, and Chandler will be doing a lot more talking, so you won't have to listen to me as much.
I mean, you probably listen to me a lot still. I chimed in.
Which I'm glad.
Yeah. Good.
All right. Thanks. See you next week.